Xavier Scruggs joins the show. We also got to talk about Jorge Polanco being a Minnesota Twin, Justin Turner being a Toronto Blue Jay, and the top tens start now. Top five utility players at the end of the episode. That'll be the back half, with X being the front half. Great conversation with him. Jack McMullen, Peter Apple, Just Baseball show for Wednesday, January 31st. And we're brought to you by.
MGM, bet MGM to be more specific, the king of sportsbooks. Have you not used your 5 to win 158 yet? A lot of you have, but if you haven't yet, get free money in your betting account. It is an absolute no-brainer. Bet $5 and Abraham Lincoln on standard odds -110. Don't put down a $10 bet. Don't put down a $15 bet. A $5 bet, and you will get $158 loaded into your account per Super Bowl 58. Remember to use code JustBaseball when you do. Terms and conditions apply. 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Jack, I'm very excited for the Super Bowl. This is not a football podcast, but I do want to shout out myself. Chiefs plus 1,000, 49ers plus 430. I will sit and watch the Super Bowl and make money automatically. Good for me. Props to me. Off the
Who's going
top.
to win? Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Do you know yet?
If you're betting against Mahomes, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that was my immediate takeaway too. But like, I also don't want to bet against Christian McCaffrey. Like, he's awesome.
Yeah, but he ain't Mahomes.
Is Chase Young still a football player? I saw the video of him like taking several plays off, and I wonder, like, hey, this guy was really good like a month ago. Is he still really good or no?
No, he's not. But I think that's enough of the football talk. Let's get straight to baseball.
Let's do it. The Seattle Mariners get their second baseman. They acquire Jorge Polanco for two big leaguers, two minor leaguers. And when we saw that, we're like, oh my gosh.
What a package.
The big leaguers are Anthony DeSclafani and Justin Topa. The prospects are Darren Bowen and Gabriel Gonzalez. Gabriel Gonzalez is a guy that is on some top 100s, is not on other top 100s, and he has kind of gone through a cycle at Just Baseball too. Aram has had him on the top 100. He's probably in the 90 to 110 range in terms of prospects in baseball. Gabby Gonzalez is probably the biggest name going back. DeSclafani helps him out with innings, and he's their seventh starter. Like Minnesota, they have so many like fours and
so many
fives.
Anthony DeSclafani's.
Tons. And they just added Anthony DeSclafani to a stable of like four other Anthony DeSclafani's.
Yeah.
In terms of the Seattle Mariners, I love this get. They got a guy who is an underrated hitter that's going to play second base for them every day.
And the second base position in Seattle has been a turnstile, right? It's been a bunch of different guys. Most recently, like, we're looking at Colton Wong. Then they tried Josh Rojas. They've tried a bunch of different guys, and there hasn't been much impact at the second base position for the Mariners. And now, and it's a big if, right? He's got to stay healthy. Jorge Polanco has not played a full season in what seems like a little while. But the impact is certainly there. The power is certainly there. We saw it in the playoffs. We've seen it in the regular season before. It's just about putting together a healthy season. He's a pretty good defender. Not great, but still good. But it's really about the bat here. And the Mariners got better yesterday when the trade went down. The Twins side, I'm sure you have more takeaways on Polanco.
No, I was just going to say, last two full seasons he's played, he had 22 homers and he hit 295, and then he hit 270 with 35 doubles and 33 homers. Like, this guy can hit. And
Oh, yeah.
you take the last 2 years, this guy's played 184 games over the last 2 years. He played 104 in 22. He played 80 games in 23. He's still got a 770 OPS in that stretch, and he's got 30 homers and 104 driven in 184 games. So, like, he's producing when he's on the field offensively. That's what you're asking for. You're just asking for another bat that can do damage. They got a guy that can do damage. On the Twins side, transitioning for us, they didn't need Jorge Polanco anymore. It's Julien's time to play 162. And this is allowing Edouard Julien the opportunity to play 162 games if he's healthy.
And when the trade went down and I saw 4 players, I was like, holy shit, I underrated Jorge Polanco. But then you kind of look at the guys headed over, right? Anthony DeSclafani, I don't even know if he's going to be a part of their plans this season, right? He's a guy who keeps bouncing around. And when older pitchers get bounced around, the writing is a little bit on the wall there. I'm really excited. Kind of an underrated guy who went back in the deal. I don't know if it's underrated, but I think everybody's talking about the prospect, right? Gabriel Gonzalez. Justin Topa was a great reliever. And I highly recommend checking out the interview on the Marine Layer podcast, the Seattle Mariners podcast on the Just Baseball Network when they had Justin Topa on. Dude is awesome. All you want to do is root for Justin Topa after listening to that great interview. But just on the playing side, 2.61 ERA last season, dominated, 2.97 expected. The sinker was disgusting in 69 innings. This is a high leverage reliever that the Twins just got back. And especially after losing Emilio Pagan, slotting Justin Topa in, I personally would rather have Justin Topa than Emilio Pagan. So you filled that role. You got a prospect with some upside. Desclafani probably won't be anything. But that's mostly the trade here. A high leverage reliever and a fringe top 100 guy for Jorge Polanco. I thought the Twins did very well here. And that's why I consider this trade a win-win.
Yeah.
The Mariners are better with Jorge Polanco, but the return, if I'm a Twins fan, I'm happy. I didn't think he would even get a high leverage reliever and a fringe top 100 guy for Jorge Polanco.
Yeah. If Desclafani is the 5.5, this makes so much. It still makes so much sense if Desclafani is nothing. But like, I'm with you, man. And we were talking about this bullpen being really good, like top 10 in baseball good.
Okay.
And they hold serve here. Yohan Duran, Griffin Jacks, Brock Stewart, Caleb Thielbar, Justin Topa. That's a great assortment of 5 guys. And for the sake of, playing the game, Pablo Lopez is the 1, Joe Ryan is the 2, Bailey Ober is the 3, Chris Paddock is the 4, and then some assortment of Louis Varland and Anthony Desclafani is the 5. That can win the division with this lineup. I know they've kind of downscaled their salary, their payroll, but man, like this team is good enough to win the American League Central. The AL Central, I know you're high on the Tigers. They're not that good. Like this division is
good though.
But this division is the worst in baseball.
No, it's not. I think the National League Central is worse than the American League Central.
Oh, I disagree.
The Twins, the Guardians, and the Tigers, I think are all going to be in the low to high 80s. I don't know if I can name 3 teams in the National League Central who will be able to do the same.
Really?
Name them.
The Brewers. I think the Brewers can do it. I think the Cardinals are going to bounce back.
I agree.
The Reds got better from an 80-win season.
Are they going to be 85, 86?
They could be. The Cubs could be 85, 86, and the Pirates are no slouch.
The Cubs are worse, and they didn't get there last year.
Here's the thing. Every team in the National League Central, I think, could be flirting with 75 wins this year. In the American League Central, I think you have 3 teams that probably won't get to 90 wins, and then you've got 2 teams that are just punting. Like
the Royals are not punting. The Royals have
are they going to win? Are they going to win 70 games?
Yes.
You think so?
I said that last year. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I think so. Yeah, the White Sox are going to suck. And the National League Central does not have a team like the White Sox. Like, I still think the Pirates are going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, from top to bottom, it's a deeper division. I am just very high on these 3 teams, the Twins, the Guardians, and the Tigers. I think they're all going to be very solid teams, which is good for baseball, right? Last year, it felt like these 2 divisions were dog shit. This year, I don't think that. I think you're much higher in the National League Central than I am. I think
so too.
But let's get back to the Jorge Polanco trade. I was talking about how Justin Topa is a big get for the Twins, and he is. But the Mariners have proven at this point they can get rid of these guys. You already traded Paul Sewald. And, did they win the trade, lose the trade? I don't know. It depends, right? We got to see what Dominic Canzone becomes, right? If he could become a starting corner outfielder, maybe we're reconsidering whether it was, worth it to trade a closer like Paul Sewald. I don't know. Right. But they have proven that they can just keep replicating guys like this. Like Justin Topa, right? A few years ago, even in 2022, threw 7 innings at a 4.91. The year before that, 3 1/3 at a 29.70 ERA. Then he comes in next year and is one of the better relievers in the American League. They can routinely turn these guys over. So I bet for them, it was not that big of a deal to trade Justin Topa in this deal. But for the Twins to get a guy like this was incredibly impactful. That's why I view this as a win-win. The Mariners didn't actually give up a lot in their organization because they can turn these guys around. But the Twins did get a good package for a guy who, to your point, has played about 180 games in 2 seasons.
Yeah. It's just funny, man. Like Seawald was part of the 2022 Mariners bullpen. Eric Swanson was part of the 2022 Mariners bullpen. Diego Castillo was part of the 2022 Mariners bullpen. Are you missing any of those right now? And they were all good relievers at the time. They are getting as good at bullpen development as anybody in baseball. I think the Rays are still a gold standard, but Seattle may be the silver standard. And Milwaukee should be the silver standard
And
too.
Orioles.
Baltimore, yeah, silver standard, but gold is still Tampa. Real quick before we get to Xavier Scruggs, Justin Turner signs a 1-year, $13 million deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. They are out on the Chapman thing. That has become clear. And Turner will be the third baseman, the DH. What do you think?
Probably. I mean, they have Kevin Biggio right now slotted at third. I assume they're going to do maybe a platoon option, even though I think Turner's going to be in the lineup, whether he's DH or playing third. But yeah, I think that position is now filled. You got Kevin Biggio, you got Justin Turner. And when the signing went down, I saw a lot of Blue Jays fans a little bit disappointed. And I understand, right? Maybe you do want Matt Chapman back. Maybe you want like that crazy impact bat. You want the Blake Snell. You want to go higher than you've been doing. But Justin Turner is no slouch. Justin Turner last year hit 23 bombs with an 800 OPS. I know he's 39 years old, but this guy just hits and hits and hits. And yeah, he's not going to make a big impact defensively. But if you're considering, is your team better with Brandon Belt or Justin Turner? Your team is better with Justin Turner. So you have a better hitter slotted into that role. Now, you are losing Matt Chapman. So overall, the third base position, I think, decreases, but you're increasing at other positions. Justin Turner is one of the most underrated free agents on this market because everybody's passing him by because he's 39 years old. Even if he regresses, let's say 20 home runs at a 770 OPS, that's still impact, right? That's filling the Brandon Belt role and then some.
So Justin Turner last year DH'd in 98 games for the Boston Red Sox. He played first base in 41. He played second base in 10. He made 7 starts at third base. He played 57 innings at third base. Now, he started 66 games at third base in 22 with the Dodgers, but this is a different Justin Turner. That was a 37-year-old Justin Turner. This is a 39-year-old Justin Turner. So the way that I'm kind of thinking about it now is this guy is probably just the DH, and there's going to be some assortment of, and don't forget, they gave IKF 2 years. Third base will be some assortment of Kevin Biggio, Santiago Espinal, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. And at the beginning of the offseason, I would have said, like, wholly downgrade, right? Going from Chapman to that. And I still think that it is a drastic downgrade, but is it worth the price point to take on Chapman for 6 years when you have that option instead? I think this may be the better cost-effective option.
It is the better cost-effective option, but if you're a Blue Jays fan, do you give a shit about the better cost-effective option?
No, especially when they struck out on Ohtani.
Yep. That's where I think Blue Jays fans are feeling right now. And when I said that Justin Turner, I think, can replicate or be better than Brandon Belt still had a great year last year. 859 OPS, 19 home runs. But he did only play about 102 games. So, yeah, you could even make the argument that, this isn't exactly an upgrade. Can he produce similar to that? I think it's going to be relatively close.
And I think the league assumes that the answer is yes, he can produce something similar to what Belt did.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still down on the Blue Jays this year. Sue me. Like I'm looking at this team and being like, you are worse than last year, and last year you were a first-round exit.
I get it. I think that they are closer to a teardown than a World Series. I firmly believe that, and I know that you're probably in the same boat.
Yeah, I mean, if they're dealing with cost-effective options right now, when there is a window and you got Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and all the young guys, they're here. Now you're doing cost-effective options?
Those guys are going to be up somewhat soon. Uh-oh. All right,
And
Xavier.
maybe they're saving their money for these guys. And then what?
Hey,
Then you pay them and then what? We'll see.
and if you're gonna pay Vladdy, you should pay him right now. We had a good moment at the end of the Xavier Scruggs conversation with him being named the cover athlete at MLB The Show. But if you are looking for the cheapest deal long term for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you should do that when his stock is at its lowest, and it's at its lowest right now.
Or do you want to see one more year to make sure you even want to pay him?
Oh, nah, I can't do that. If I'm Ross Atkins, I'm giving Vladdy a deal now.
What if he does the same exact thing this year? What do you do?
I still give him a deal.
How much? What, are you going to give him 200 million?
No. Would he say yes to 120?
Oh, of course not. I mean, might.
Utility. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Top 5 utility players in Major League Baseball. Why not us?
Why not us? Of course, we have 2 honorable mentions. Our 2 honorable mentions are on the West Coast. Jake Cronenworth with the San Diego Padres and Brandon Drury with the LA Angels. Cronenworth, obviously not worth the $80 million contract that he got this past year. He's way too talented to be left off of an honorable mention list. Yes, he had the worst year of his career, but I mean, this guy is a freak defender at really any spot you put him. He's been playing a lot on the right side of the infield, and he is damn good over there. And the bat probably can't be worse than it was in 2023. Also, if you want to follow along, great article written by Lyle Goldstein that we're kind of working off of. What we did is we had 6 people rank. You and I were on the judging committee, and we took aggregate scores and we ranked them accordingly. So it took the debate out of it, and it just went to the formula. So our 6 and 7 were Jake Cronenworth and Brandon Drury.
And I think Jake Cronenworth will be better with the bat last season. I agree with you. It couldn't have been any worse, right?
Yeah.
690 OPS, 10 home runs. That's just not enough, especially from a guy like Jake Cronenworth, where the utility spot plays a lot of first base. You cannot get that offensive production. However, I'm not willing to just push aside the Padre season and give everybody a pass. But at the same time, I'm bringing that similar mentality that I did. Remember when the Mets had that weirdly bad season? I think it was 2021, or it was one of those type seasons. And then the next year, they kind of all bounced back.
Yep.
Sometimes a team like the Cardinals this year, who I'm again high on again, it's just one of those shit seasons. And I think a lot of guys suffered from this. The clubhouse was obviously not right. Cronenworth is more talented than this, right? 2021, 2022, we're looking at a guy who put up a 4-win season. So based on last year, he probably would have plummeted. We might not have talked about him at all, but we respect the talent enough and we know it's there that he has to be an honorable mention. But so many other young guys took such a step forward that we can't rank Cronenworth because we're banking on a bounce back when he literally showed us nothing offensively last year.
Yeah. Brandon Drury, kind of the other flip of the coin. Drury had 26 homers, had a 115 WRC plus, and put up a 2.5 win season with LA after he signed a 2-year deal off of his quote unquote breakout season with Cincinnati. Question was, can he do it away from Great American Ballpark? Last year, the answer was an emphatic yes. Can this guy play shortstop? No. Is he an elite defender? No. Can he play first base? Can he dabble at second base? Can he hop in at third? Yeah. And he can hit. And that's what the Angels paid him to do. And I expect him to hit again this year.
So when I rank these guys, obviously defense matters for a utility guy. And he was arguably the worst defender on this list. So I thought to myself, all right, I'm really high on Wilmer Flores, who we're going to talk about. I would prefer his bat to Brandon Drury's. And when I watch Brandon Drury, I personally think that while he can be a utility player, right? We talked about Chris Bryant a lot, right? He can play these positions, but should he, right? And when I look at Brandon Drury, I look at a negative defender at pretty much every position, but he's athletic enough to at least plug him in there. And the Angels, like, they don't have much, right? So they have to plug him in a bunch of different positions. That's how I view Brandon Drury. He's a good bat to have in the lineup, but I don't really know where to place him. So that's why he fell lower on my list, because I look at a Wilmer Flores, whose bat I greatly prefer, and he can at least be better defensively, I think, than Drury can around the infield.
Yeah. All right. You rip off odds, I rip off evens.
Let's do it. So at number 5, Tommy Edman of the St. Louis Cardinals. Coming off a down offensive year, 92 WRC plus, about 8% below league average, but he's still an all-world defender, and he still hit 13 bombs, stole 27 bags, and put up a 2.3 F-WAR. Me personally, I ranked him 5th. I'm always higher on Tommy Edman because I always believe there's more in the tank offensively, but he really let me down last year. That's why, again, I ranked him 5th. But he is probably the best defender on this list. Arguably, of course, there is Brendan Donovan, who wins utility gold gloves. But I still think Tommy Edman, the fact that he could play short, he could play second, and he could play center, all at elite levels, has to have him on this list, kind of regardless if he hits or not. And he did put up 13 home runs and 27 bags.
Well, and he can play short and center at an elite level. Like one defensive run save, 4 outs above average at shortstop. You jump him into center, that's 2 DRS and 6 outs above average. It's like he's top flight. What was weird to me was he technically graded out as a poor defender at second base when he was a great defender at shortstop. It doesn't make sense. Eye test tells me that this guy's an elite defender wherever you put him, and I love that. I'm with you. I've always expected more offensive production from Tommy Edman than we've gotten. But I will say, this guy playing a very high level wherever you put him defensively to go along with as efficient a base stealer as we've got in Major League Baseball, sign me up 8 days a week. This guy's last 3 years, 30 for 35 in the stolen base department in 2021, 32 for 35 in 2022, 27 for 31 in 2023. That's amazing. He's been caught 12 times in the last 3 years. He picks his spots. He's going to swipe about 30 bags every year, and he's going to play a high level of defense, whether it's in center, whether it's at short, whether it's at second. And with Donovan and Gorman at second base, with Wynn at shortstop, I think Tommy Edman's going to be the opening day center fielder in St. Louis.
I could totally see that. Totally see that. I mean, I still like Tommy Edman. I ranked him pretty high on the shortstop list last year, and now he's more of a utility player. Kind of whiffed on that one. I believe that it's such a safe profile defensively that if he can be an average hitter, he's going to rack up the WAR totals, which I think matters to me. But 5, I think, is a fine spot for him.
Yeah. Number 4 is Wilmer Flores with the San Francisco Giants. And this is a different type of utility player. He's not Tommy Edman defensively. He's not Brendan Donovan defensively. What this guy is a really solid first baseman. 6 defensive runs saved at first base, 1 out above average at first base. He played a little bit of second base. He played some third base. He wasn't that good defensively. But what he did give the San Francisco Giants in its age 31 season was a 284 clip with 23 homers, and he was a 2.5 win player. He's still bringing the thump. And he might have been one of the forgotten men in San Francisco. You almost forget that Wilmer Flores is like still playing ball and like is still playing pretty much every day. This guy had 450 plate appearances a year ago. And I'm going to take him as a first base DH, can hop at third in a pinch and be a corner masher.
And I think he mashes. And that's why I ranked him really high on my list, right? We're looking at a guy in 2019. I know it wasn't a large sample. 848 OPS, 2020 shortened season, 830 OPS, 2021 782 OPS, down 2022, no doubt about it, 710, but then hops right back up to an 864 OPS, 45 extra base hits, does not strike out much, right? One of the lower strikeout rates, 93rd percentile, does not whiff, just gives you a good at bat every single day. And that's why I prefer him to Brandon Drury. I think the bat is a much better bat. And is the defense all that different? I would say no. I ranked him really high because I do believe in the bat. I just see a consistent good AB every single time I turn on a Giants game. And he hits third, right? There's a reason. He's in that lineup. He's hitting right in the thick of it. Wilmer Flores is a good-ass player. I like him.
He and Lamont Wade, man. The middle of the order mashers in San Francisco.
That's not my best point I've ever made, I'll be honest with you. Just him hitting third in the Giants lineup, but He's hitting third.
He
Brandon Drury
is.
wouldn't hit third.
He's hitting third. He probably would.
Not on the
He's
Giants.
he's hitting third on a Major League Baseball team. That is a fair point. Problem is, this team lacks
Offense. I
production.
understand. I
Yeah.
understand. It's not the most offensively inclined group, but 864 OPS, and this is no fluke. He's done this before, and I think that's what I think a lot of people didn't really understand about Wilmer is that this wasn't just kind of out of the blue. He's been around an 800 OPS for the last 5 seasons.
That's the thing.
Legit.
And Drury's only done it for the last 2 seasons. So edge Wilmer Flores. Before you get into number 3, I just want to say that I tried so hard to spin zone my way into putting him at number 1 in my rankings, but I couldn't do it. So he was at 3 for me. I think he was at 3 for you.
He was at 3 for me. And number 3 on our top 5 utility players list is Brendan Donovan of the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, he's only still 26 years old, right? Last season, age 25, but he just wasn't that healthy. Still hit, though, 118 WRC plus, 2.1 F4, still hit 11 home runs, hit at a 284 clip, and that's why I ranked him third, right? You and I did. Now, a couple other people on our rankings ranked him a little bit lower because he weirdly didn't grade out as a good defender at really any position. At first base, -4 outs above average. At second base, -4 defensive runs saved. Third base, -1 defensive runs saved. He just had a weirdly bad defensive season. But again, do we believe that? No, we know he's a great defender.
Here's my thing about Brendan Donovan, and here's why I will push the agenda again in 2024. I was pushing it so hard going into 23, and I don't think it fell flat on my face because he did put up a 2-win season. He logged time, and like legitimate time, at first base, second base, shortstop, third base, left field, and right field. He played everywhere but center and catcher, and he didn't pitch. He is the definition of a Swiss Army knife defensively. And man, like he makes boring sexy. I'm in again on Brendan Donovan.
I mean, he was just injured, right? Still put up a 118 WRC plus, still getting on base at a really high clip, right? It's not maybe the 400 that we may be used to, right? 422 in 2022, but it's still 365. Just the power wasn't there. And obviously, or at least what it seems by the numbers, that some of the injuries that held him out of games certainly weren't kind to him when he was playing. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm willing to give him a little bit of a pass, but it still wasn't even that bad of a season. That's why he's at number 3 and a comfortable number 3.
Yeah. Number 2 finished 6th in NL Rookie of the Year voting. And it's Spencer Steer of the Cincinnati Reds, who was putting together an all-star caliber first half. He did not make the all-star team.
Bullshit.
You are still adamant that he is an all-star.
He is.
Before I give you the offensive numbers on Steer, he doesn't grade out as good defensively. Okay, but much like Donovan, he started 53 games at first base, 42 games at third base, 13 games at second base, 36 games in left field, and 2 games in right field. Oh, by the way, he DH'd 6 times too. But Steer, like, he's playing everywhere. And last year, he hit 271 with an 820 OPS. He had 23 homers. He drove an 86. He had 37 doubles, and he was 15 for 18 in the stolen base department. This guy is one of the best hitting utility players in baseball.
He's the best utility player in baseball, and this list is fraudulent.
For you, you were the only one. You were the only one that had him 1. Everybody else had him 2, except Leo Morgenstern, who like didn't rank him, which was weird.
Yeah, Leo had him not ranked. Just
not
hates
ranked.
him. Hates him. I had him number 1, Reds fans. I see it. You see it. Everyone with a brain sees it. Now, a couple of my colleagues, lack of brain. Happens, right? They're not turning on the game. They don't see what you and I see. This guy can mash, and he's going to keep mashing. And I love how you mentioned the stolen base department. People forget. Wheels. 15 bags, 23 bombs. I think that's only going to increase next season. And he's only going to continue to get better defensively because he's a ball player. He's a ball player, Jack McMullen, and he should be number 1. Over this guy who's been number 1 for like 40 years, it feels like. And just every other year, he's good offensively. Can we stop? Can we put Spencer Steer at number 1?
He's due. Like you said, every other year, it's even year voodoo. Who's number one?
Number one utility player in Major League Baseball is Jeff McNeil of the New York Mets. Jeff McNeil, 2.6 F4, 100 WRC plus league average, 10 bombs, 10 steals. And he was a negative defender at second base, positive defender in right field. Weirdly, he's a better defender than what he showed. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's due. Put Spencer Steer number one. I see Jeff McNeil. I go up to Citi Field 30 times a year and I watch Jeff McNeil. He ain't Steer. He just ain't.
Here's how the voting broke down. I had Jeff McNeil in the one spot. Arm Layton had Jeff McNeil in the one spot.
Casuals, all of them.
Ryan Finkelstein, our managing editor, had Jeff McNeil in the one spot.
Oh, you mean the Mets fan had Jeff McNeil number one?
Leo Morgenstern, our other editor, had him at number one.
Idiots.
Colby Olson had him at number one, and Peter Apple had him at number 4.
4. He's not that good. He's okay.
Do you know what his K rate was last year?
Yeah, like 4%. Down here. I don't know if he struck out once.
It was 10%. He had a 10% K rate.
And you know what? He also had 10 home runs and 10 steals and a 100 WRC plus. He was literally average and was a fine defender. Not great.
But he's a year removed from the batting title. He's a year removed from hitting 326.
Who gives a fuck?
It's a lot of people.
Title, I mean, who cares? Obviously, batting average is year over year. Would I rather my guy steal more bases, hit more home runs, and just be a better hitter by a good margin? Or would I rather the safe option? You know what? You probably love vanilla ice cream if you like Jeff McNeil. You probably love buttered Wonder Bread toast for breakfast. And you probably think eggs are spicy if you like Jeff McNeil. I like hot sauce. I like jalapenos. That's Spencer Steer.
Do you just want to plug the merch now?
No, I want to continue this. I rank Jeff McNeil 4th, and I stand by it.
Jeff McNeil had 94 starts at second base. He had 31 starts in right, 24 starts in left. He will probably bounce around a good bit this year. He will not be the everyday second baseman, it seems, especially moving forward with Lindor locked up and Luis Angel Acuna making his way through. You think that McNeil is just kind of going to fill in wherever he's needed, especially with Nimmo being there. Harrison Bader probably going to play center field a good bit too.
Yeah, your number one utility guy might come off the bench because he slugged 378.
I think he's going to be a super utility, much like Spencer Steer. Eggs are really spicy, man.
They are spicy for
Eggs
you.
Are
and
so
Leo.
Spicy.
Colby's like, ow, my tongue. I love Jeff McNeil.
Cholesterol. Colby's having cholesterol issues with the eggs.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode. We started with the utility just to give you guys a taste. Just a taste. We got so many more to go to. We got DHs, pitchers, relievers, corner outfielders, center fielders, and every position around the infield. We're going to rank them all here on the Just Baseball Show. So stick around. And if you have been enjoying the episode, make sure to rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. 5 stars, please. And leave a written review if you would be so kind. Really genuinely helps out the show. We really would appreciate it. Go ahead.
One more thing. Our Just Basketball guys, Brendan Clean, Chris Manning, are doing an amazing job right now covering the trade deadline with the Just Basketball Show. If you are a hoop head, if you are getting interested in the NBA and the trade deadline, where's your favorite player on your favorite bad team going? Go check out the Just Basketball Show. Pretty please. Link to their Spotify page is in our episode description.
No doubt about it. Go check that out. As well as if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that big red subscribe button. It's free. Come on. We have tons of videos coming up, including the biggest bet of my life video. And I also ranked expansion teams. And Jack and Arm are coming out with more standalone videos, as well as our managing editor, Ryan Finkelstein. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube page. It's a banger of a page. People are calling it the greatest YouTube page of all time. Not me, but people. Not me, people. So go subscribe and get your Just Baseball merch in the episode description as well. That's Jack McMullen. I'm Peter Apple. We will be back on Friday. And with that, thank you, everybody.
Mr. Beast clears.